This is an old MacBook with a DVD drive, and this is a dusty case of old DVDs. Some of them contain my old photos. As some of you might know, I teach photography, and I'm notorious for critiquing the work of my students quite harshly from time to time. I do it because I think that constructive criticism is very helpful if you want to learn anything fast, and I know it sure helped me in my development as a photographer. I decided to seriously take on photography in 2011, but I always liked to take photos. I started with my mother's Smena, then I had my own Fuji rangefinder style point and shoot, and then I took money from my father to go to a writer's boot camp for talented kids, and I bought a digital point and shoot instead. And that's roughly where this story starts. Now, I knew that most of my photos were crap, but apparently I also thought that some of them were really good. So when I would transfer them to the computer, I would label certain folders with arty, ooh, these photos are arty, unlike some other snapshot. Let's see what's arty in this particular folder. That's art. So in this video, I'm gonna taste my own medicine. I didn't even bother to rotate it. If this was a student work, I would say, it's not so bad, but for some reason, there are two things that people who grab their cameras for the first time tend to do. First, they tend to shoot nature because nature's beautiful, and second, they tend to turn their photos in black and white to make them look more like art. There's nothing interesting going on, and I think the black and white conversion made the photo even duller. What can be worse than taking dull medium gray black and white photos of nature? Taking dull medium gray black and white photos of nature with motion blur. Look, it's so abstract. No, it's not. It doesn't even convey anything. Was it windy or did I just shake a lot? I was just a beginner in the world of digital photography at that point, and I think I kind of understand why I like this. I was basically just exploring what can I do with my camera, and the camera was really bad. Did I think that this would make a good wallpaper? Because it wouldn't. I don't know. Okay. I can see what I was going for. So this was a blizzard, or at least a snowfall in Belgrade, Serbia, where I'm from, and this overpass overlooks a very busy street that leads you to a bridge that takes you to the other part of town. Anyway, again, snow is nature, and nature is impressive, so I kind of wanted to convey that. Oh god. So for a city shot like this, I think the framing was too narrow. We're too close, we're too cropped in, we can't really see the context. Now, bad weather actually makes it very easy to take a good photo. If it's wet, everything's reflective. If you're in the city, there's a lot going on. And of all the photos I could have taken from this exact spot, I'm really unhappy I ended up with this one. The framing is a bit crooked. At the same time, there's a lot going on. There's not enough going on. I think this part of the photo is unnecessarily empty. We have some motion blur on the cars, but that was not on purpose. And the thing that bugs me the most is that I was unable to capture the snow. If you take a look here, you can see that snow was actually falling as I was taking this photo. And I just didn't do it, probably because I didn't know how. Let's combine all the elements we had so far. This is a photo of snow in my front yard. I was living in a huge house back in the day. Compared to the photos I've shown you so far, this one doesn't look that bad, really. What bugs me is the placement of this barrel. I have no idea what's it doing there, but it's almost in the intersection of the thirds, so your eye just can't avoid going there. Today I'd probably try moving myself to the left to make the tree a bit more dominant, or I would put the tree in the foreground and then place an actual subject behind it. Moving on, this photo is way worse than it should be, especially given the fact that at that point I think I had a digital camera for at least 3 years. Apparently, I like the contrast between the table and the glass of water. Like, you know, the table's kind of orange, the water's kind of blue, there are different textures going on, whatever. I wouldn't take this photo now. The problem with this photo is that I got close, but not close enough. The framing is too narrow to be wide, obviously, but not narrow enough to turn this into an abstract composition. You can also see a lot of distracting things, and you can even see under the table, which are probably the elements that could have been used somehow in this shot, but they weren't. A different shot with the same problem. It's not wide enough to give you any kind of context, and at the same time, it's not abstract enough. Okay, so here's a photo of me. It was taken by a friend of mine using my camera, and then I edited it to make it even better. This was taken at a mall that was being renovated at the time, so it looked overall pretty creepy. And the location was great. The photos I took there weren't. I can critique a lot of things in this photo, especially my outfit. I used to have body image issues, so I wore oversized stuff, but that's a topic for a different video. However, even from a photographer's perspective, the outfit here is completely wrong. This bright white stripe on my jacket makes no sense, and today I would at least try to like take my jacket off or do something different with layers. We have perspective distortion. The framing's overall not great, but the editing is really bad. If you're older than 25, there was probably a phase in your life when you thought that selective desaturation was really cool. It's not. First of all, it's very cheap looking, like it's sketchy, it's very easy to do, and yet many people still do it really badly, like I did here. I wrote an entire blog post about why you shouldn't be doing this, and I'm gonna link to it in the description, but it boils down to, if you need to leave only one thing in your photo in color to tell people where to look at, you're doing something wrong. Before becoming a photographer, I worked in broadcasting, and at one point I was working at a radio station that needed new headshots done, so I decided to do it. It was a fairly simple setup. I had a pretty bad DSLR at that time, but I also had an external flash, and I made photos that didn't really look that bad, except for the editing. So this is the way the photo looks straight out of camera. That's also how I looked with almost no beard. As you can see, the light is even, the background was just a white wall. And for what it is, like, I think this is a fairly decent shot. The problem arises when I wanted to make it better. There's so many things wrong with this. First of all, facial features. This looks like I fell into a pot of Botox. And second, this is not how human eyes look. So that's it. I hope you learned something from this, and let me know if I should make more photography related videos. Like, comment, subscribe, and don't look at your old work.